Good evening, everyone. This is the Finance Committee meeting. It is Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. It's 6:31, and I'd like to call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of
of the United States of America,
and to the
republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, this Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. On March 28th, 2025, Governor Healy signed into law a bill which extends the temporary provisions pertaining to open meeting law to June 30th, 2027. Specifically, this further extension allows the public bodies to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the public body physically present at the meeting location and to provide adequate alternative access to remote meetings. The language does not make any substantive changes to the open meeting law other than extending the expiration date of the temporary provisions regarding remote meetings from March 31st, 2025 to June 30th, 2027. All right. Well, hello, everyone.
Hello.
I am just going to do a roll call of who's here. So we need to do that with virtual meetings. So we have Al Lees.
Here.
Gary Carrero.
Here.
Cindy Brown.
Here.
Zach LeBrew.
Here.
Duncan Law.
Here.
Nancy Stanton Cross.
Here.
And myself, Karen Rouse. I think I got everybody, right? So tonight we do not have Hugh Morton. Let me know that he could not attend. And Christopher Thrasher may come. He's not sure he's going to be able to make it, but so he is not here presently either. So we have a quorum, and so we can get started on our meetings.
Okay.
So tonight we are starting our fiscal 27 budgets, and I tried to give everyone a rough order. So we're going to start with the building department, and then we'll go into the Board of Health, and then Shellfish Marine Services, and then fourth we'll do the town hall, the town annex, and the cemetery. So that's our order tonight. Hopefully that works for everybody still. So Ralph Souza, we have you here. So you're first up. You're our first budget meeting of 2027. No pressure.
No pressure. All right. So basically what I've got is a breakdown of my salary, the clerk salaries, the cost to run the department. I didn't see, I was absent last year because last year I was having surgery, so I didn't do the budget last year. But in prior years, it was they gave me the sheets on what the department brought in, so I don't know if that was given to you or not.
It was. So last year,
so
probably the town administrator presented the budget on your behalf. Yes.
okay. So what it is I don't have the sheets because I was told today that you wouldn't be looking at the money that was taken in, but I said yeah I would, but it I don't have that. What I've got is what the budgets were prior to, and this year's proposed budget.
So Ralph, you might be referring to the building department's revenue. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the revenue.
Right.
The revenue. I don't have that with me. No.
Okay. Well, we can start off and look at your expense budget, and then you can follow up afterwards. That would be great to let us know what you have for revenue and what that is.
Okay. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll gather that up and turn that over.
That'd be great.
Well, for now, my revenue, the 86 approved, the 2026 approved budget is listed in one column, and the department request budget is the second column. What I didn't see last year, because again, I was out for surgery last year, it was a salary account, which is $30,000. I didn't ask for that. I think that's something that Jim's put in, and when I kind of asked him about it the other day, he said that it was because I think he's all done in the end of the month anyway, so I don't know why he's worried about me retiring. But in the event that I were to retire or leave, they're knowing that the next commissioner is going to get more money than I'm getting. They're not going to come into the town. They're already having a hard time filling the locals position. And at Springtown meeting, they boosted that up, which if I'd have known they were gonna do that, I would have objected to that only because my salary, I only get bump ups when the rest of the town gets bump ups, the 2%, 1%, whatever it is. I have never gotten a big substantial bump up out of 8 communities. Westport's next to last in salary for the commissioner. The only one that's lower, and I kind of find it hard to believe, is Swansea. Swansea's at 79,000. Westport's at 87,000. But based on 8 communities, the average salary for the commissioner is $95,790, and I'm nowhere near that.
So Ralph, have just so I can make sure I understand. So did you put together this budget for fiscal 27 and did you do?
I put together a budget, but again, the 30,000 showed up after the fact. You know, I called Jim on it the other day, and that's what I was told. I was told, well, we got to put the 30,000 in the event you leave, because he pretty much knows he's going. Well, he's not. Again, it's not going to be him. It's going to be the assistant from Dartmouth that's coming over. But he pretty much knows that the position is not going to go for what I'm getting. Already the local's position is, they bumped it up at town meeting, and there's still nobody applying for it.
So just want to clarify. So I know sometimes if somebody is nearing retirement, the budget might include a vacation payout kind of thing. Are you saying that's not that?
That's not that. No.
It's not that.
No,
Okay.
no, that's not that. Because I mean, there's rumors all over floating around that I'm retiring because I'm 68 years old, and that started a while back. And then Jim got nervous about it when I went out in January on surgery. Is he going to come back or not? And I was asked by him 3-4 times whether I was going to come back or not, and I came back. Which I came back. I asked to come back a little earlier, but the doctor at the time said, I don't want you out in the field. I want you sitting in the office. I don't want you out in the field yet, because I had total knee replacement surgery. So I spent February and March, well, actually March and April in the office. And then I took it back from the Dartmouth building inspector when the doctor said I could. And it's been like that ever since.
All right. I think Al has his hand up for a question.
Yes, thanks. Just very, very quickly, based on what Ralph just said, I would recommend that we reduce the $30,000 down to a number that approximates $97,500, which is the average salary of, pardon me, of building inspectors in the area. And I would also just change the wording a little bit because it's a little confusing to me. Salary contingency account as opposed to salary account.
Right.
So it's a bucket. It's not it's not cooked in. It's sitting there and whatever. But if 30,000 is, pick the number, $15,000 more than what is the average in the area, I'm not sure we need to do that.
Could I also ask a question?
Sure thing.
Does this line item also include the assistant? I think if you recall, we as a finance committee, I believe, added an assistant building inspector last year.
I think that's separate, Cindy.
Oh, it is separate. Okay.
I think so. I think we've got 64 grand
that's
cooked
Oh,
into
okay,
the
yeah,
books
right.
on
For the
top of it.
assistant.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
I
64
see
is
it.
for the, which that position got a boost in the Springtown meeting, which again, I would have objected to if I was available to attend that meeting, only because they're not saying, well, let's look at Ralph's salary and see what Ralph could use.
Right.
But we just went to the assistant so we could make sure we could hire a guy. After, I think I've been doing it alone in Westport since 2007. I came to Westport as the assistant in 2005. I worked with John McNally back then, and John fought to get me full time the 2 years that I was there with him. And my first day walking in at full time, he resigned. And 3 weeks later, I was by myself with that town. Nobody
Yeah.
else with me. And a few times they threw in money for the assistant's position. They would put the money in, take the money out, put the money in, take the money out. I never got an assistant. I never squawked about it, but I never got an assistant. It was the first time in a long period of time Westport didn't have 2 building inspectors.
Right.
You always had 2 building inspectors. You had Bob Maltese and Linwood Consack. Then you had Bob Maltese and John McNally. Then it was John McNally and me for 2 years. And then since in 2007, that stopped. It was just me.
So Ralph, let me just ask you, so first, the finance committee doesn't determine people's salaries or raises. That's not a function that we can do. We can fund dollars if we feel that that the budget should have it, but ultimately it's the select board's determination on whether or not anybody gets a raise or not. So have you talked to the town administrator or the select board?
I'm waiting for the next administrator.
Okay.
Me and the existing town administrator, we agree to disagree.
Okay, so I think that would be a place to start, to have those discussions, and probably the personnel board in terms of looking at your salary as it compares to other towns and kind of helping the justification of your salary.
By the way, FYI, Jim has joined the call. Jim Hartnett is now on the call.
Okay, thanks. So I would say that's an important piece to start. We can certainly
Okay.
make some notes, and we can follow up with
Okay.
that progress on that to see as you progress down a road with the salary, if that might lead to your satisfaction. If not, you can certainly, the finance committee can raise it again, and then we can help evaluate your budget. You know, if there's dollars to potentially be added or not. But I would suggest that format to do that first.
Sure.
Okay. Does that make sense for everyone else on the finance committee? Gary, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, and I think just to echo what you're saying, Gary, is, I think we just came off the heels of a study, class and comp study. So what does that look like, not only for the building inspector's position, but really for all positions that study entailed? So, I understand what Ralph is saying, but, we need to take a look at what this looks like for the entire town. And I don't know if that's been addressed. I don't know if that's supposed to be addressed in the FY27 budget, if some of it was addressed in FY26. I don't know if it was addressed at all. So I guess maybe somebody can shed some light on that. I don't know, because if we're going to have every department head coming in and doing this kind of exercise, I think we need to know as the finance committee, you're right. We don't set people's salary. We only fund the positions and fund those budgets. So that's for the non-unions, it's personnel. For everyone else, it's pretty much the select board that handles that. So I don't know where we are with that.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think it's been addressed on a case-by-case basis where perhaps there were egregious differences. This is the first time the building issue has come up, as Ralph indicated. He was not in the office last year when we were discussing these issues. There was additional funds put into that budget at the time, and now would be the appropriate time to address the similar positions in other communities in that study. As you indicated, Ralph, we're pretty much near the bottom, and maybe it is time that we need to reevaluate that position as well.
We appreciate it.
Great. Gary, you still have is your hand still up, or it's not up anymore?
Oh,
Okay.
that's me, Karen.
All right, great. Hi, Zach. Go ahead.
Hello. Maybe we could take advantage if Jim is here to ask him what that salary account line item is.
You sure can.
So we put it in last year, right? We've had the assistant position in there for almost, I think maybe 3 years, at least 2 years, and I think we have one application, and the applicant only wanted to work part-time. So I think we've come to the realization that if we want to fill the assistant position, we're going to have to increase the salary. Now we're going into negotiations with the Teamsters this year, so that's something I think is going to need to be looked at. I think Ralph has merit with his salary. We've discussed this in the past, and we've suggested that, he do his salary comparisons, present it to the personnel board and the select board, and see what they can do. Some of the other departments have done that. I do think if Ralph walks out the door, that in order to fill that position, you're going to need to increase that salary. I don't know exactly what, but certainly more than what he's being paid now. And that typically happens, right? When somebody walks out the door, in order to get somebody new in, the salary goes up. I walk out the door and the salary goes up $25,000, $30,000. I mean, it's just unfortunate that it happens that way. But I think if Ralph can show that, do some salary comparisons with neighboring towns, look at the existing wage study and justify an increase, I think he should present it to the personnel board and the select board.
Thanks,
Great.
Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. So anything else, any other questions on, Nancy, go
The
ahead.
rest of it looks like to me straightforward. It's straight,
Thanks.
it's
Sorry, just to let everyone know, so I toggle back and forth between actually looking at the budget. So if your hand gets raised and I don't recognize you, it's probably because I'm looking at the budget, and usually anybody can feel free to go, hey, there's a hand raised. So feel free to do that. So Nancy, go ahead.
So I have been talking, when I started talking about special purpose line items on the budget, capital improvements 5 years ahead, what type of machines do we need, building and things. I think we also have to take a hard look of this as being the perfect example of the people that are in positions such as this, that are aging up and potential for retirement, and the reality of paying a salary for someone else coming in. So it's really a perfect example of making sure that the salary is going to meet the requirements of bringing someone in when we have someone that's close to retirement. So I think that that's important to be aware of. We are a small town, to be aware of those employees that have dedicated themselves to Westport and have done so on the lower side of what those salaries cause for. And there needs to kind of be an ongoing review of where else are we going to go, so that we can build and prepare and not be in a situation where I have to hear something like, if Ralph left tomorrow, ooh, we'd be, and we don't want to be that way. I wouldn't think. I think we'd want to have, we're looking at salary comparisons. I think that that's an analysis that needs to take place, but I'd hate to be held on the fact that you don't have a plan in place, because people are going to retire. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy. And just and we do, to some extent, and the budgets are so tight that there isn't the luxury to put dollars in that potentially won't be spent. But you're right. And the other piece that's always troubling, I think, to all of us is that if you have somebody that's working that may not be even close to market, but they don't get paid, but we fully well know if they leave and you replace them, that the salary is going to go up. That's really an unfair situation, that you're willing to pay somebody else coming in the market, but you're not willing to pay an existing employee in the market. So
Yeah.
that's one that's very troubling to me, that, I think to all of us, and that was part of the salary study, to really evaluate that and then somehow figure out how to budget that to be fairer to our existing employees and thank them for what they do. And the challenge is the dollars just aren't there to support it, but we do need to figure out a way to try to make that happen. But agree. Um, anybody else have their hand up on?
Yeah.
Al does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, go
just,
ahead, Al. Go ahead.
just very, very briefly, and I think, you both have hit on one of the longer term issues that about general accounting practice, that it is very easy to evaluate capital expenditure, a truck, plow, whatever the heck it might be. But we need to figure out about human capital, because not only is human capital, a hugely important part of the wheel, but if you look at our budgets, I don't care what department it is, we're looking at 40, 50, 60, 65% of a total budget is on human capital. So I don't want to go on a rant. I promise I won't. But I think the personnel board, the select board, whomever it might be, because it's really not, our purview, to really start focusing on what is important. And it is not fair, to your point, Karen, whether it is Ralph or anybody else and Jim, who is currently leaving, and we're sorry to see him go, that we replace that human capital with somebody that is getting paid 10, 15, 20% more. I mean, what's the value of that? What's the value? So I'll leave it at that, but somebody, some organization, some subcommittee, ad hoc committee has got to start addressing this and make some substantive changes. And you know what? If we have my favorite saying, free cash, which as Cindy and I have gone by, hate, or I hate. How about a little bit of that free cash going into the pockets of the people who are making it happen every single day of the week? So anyway, I'll be quiet.
All right, thanks. Appreciate that. Appreciate your comments. I didn't mean appreciate you being quiet. I meant I appreciate. After I said, I'm like, I didn't mean it to appreciate you being quiet. I meant I appreciate your comments.
Actually, my Cindy appreciates me being quiet too. So good for you. Okay.
All right, thank you. Ralph, is there anything on your budget? Everything else looks
Everything else is pretty much the same.
pretty much the
Increased
same.
a little bit, part-time clerk increased a little bit because we're doing online permitting now. I'm using her more because she's really savvy with the online permitting. And I hear there's stumbling blocks with that. I know there's stumbling blocks with me with that as far as how the permits get issued now. Because I used to kind of be specific the way I worded them. I've got a problem showed up today because the permit online didn't specify everything that was gonna go happen there. And now I've got to look at it again and I'm gonna have to tweak it because what I went there to do an inspection on wasn't what was on that permit. So, I never had that problem before when I was writing them out because I was specific of what they were for.
All right, well, any other questions for Ralph?
No.
No? Okay. Well, Ralph, we appreciate your being here and doing everything you
Thank
do.
you.
We got some notes that will, you've got a direction that you can head with your salary, and then we'll follow up with you as we get closer to the wrapping up the budget.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Ralph. All right, take care.
Thanks, Rob.
Yep, bye.
Bye. Thanks, Ralph.
See you later, bye.
All right, thank you. All right, so our next budget that we have scheduled is the Board of Health, Transfer Station, and Animal Control. I think Matt Armando is here. Hi, Matt. I think I saw you somewhere.
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
saw your box. There you are.
All right. Yeah. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Finance Committee.
Nice
Thank
to
you for
see
the
you.
opportunity to speak with you guys tonight. I'm just here to present and review our department budgets and highlight some key priorities and try to answer any questions you guys might have. So, if you want to start, we could start with the Board of Health. And again, I apologize for the late memo today, Karen. It's been a little hectic over there, so I just wanted to put something together for you guys to kind of maybe review and follow along with tonight. So as far as the Board of Health goes, it's just, standard. We increased the personnel side of the budget by 3%. The expenses were level funded, so there's nothing really going on with that. We do have a request for FY27, which would be the addition of a part-time clerk. And I can read through this. So over the past 6 years, our department has experienced a significant increase in workload, driven largely by an increase in demand and/or new revised state and local regulations. These regulations have become more comprehensive and require additional paperwork, documentation, follow-up, and public education. As a result, staff must dedicate more time to supporting the public, such as installers, engineers, businesses, and property owners and residents. In addition to the number of temporary food events, mobile vendors, and related activities, all that has grown significantly. This increase has resulted in more applications and fees that must be collected, reviewed, and processed. Collectively, these demands have placed a substantial strain on our current team, affecting both our efficiency and our ability to provide timely and high-quality service to the community. So we've already taken some steps to try to manage the workload, and we've delayed the implementation of our electronic permitting just until we can try to get, caught up or handle on things. We've limited the number of weekly perk tests that we do on a weekly basis. And we've modified our local septic regulation to reduce the burden on both the homeowners and the staff. Steps we've not taken yet due to the revenue implications. We have not eliminated the permit requirement for dumpsters as of yet, and we have not eliminated the permit requirement for portable toilets. If we do remove those requirements, it would result in a significant loss of revenue to the town. My estimation is anywhere between 53 and 58,000 annually, just by eliminating those permit requirements for those two items. The Board of Health has approved fee increases effective January 2nd, 2026 to help support and justify the addition of a part-time clerk. Estimated increased fee revenues, we're projecting anywhere between 20 and 25,000. So adding one part-time senior clerk would allow us to manage our workload more effectively, reduce delays, and maintain the quality of service expected by the public. So my idea would be to add a clerk at 19 3/4 hours per week at a pay rate based on the step 1 pay rate for a senior clerk in the union pay schedule is $20.02 an hour, with an annual cost of approximately $20,560. So we're looking to add that to the budget.
Thanks, Matt. And just, I see Tanya has her hand up, so I'll
Yes.
let Tanya, go ahead. Hey, Tanya.
I just wanted to make 2 comments based on the earlier discussion. Matt hasn't mentioned, but we have 2 staff who are in their 70s and 80s who we should be planning for retirement and the need to fill probably at higher levels than the current salary structure with support. So that's just something for, sort of fuel to the fire for the notion that you've all discussed about sort of looking at the human capital. And the second thing, I just wanted to elaborate a minute on the dumpster and porta-john. Those are local regulations. Those are the only regulations that we can modify at the local level. And in terms of impacting workload. But I believe it's the dumpster regulation almost relates to almost 3,000 permits a year. Is that right, Matt? I forget the exact number. We had done the research to look at what the impact would be. And that's why it's so labor intensive. It does bring in a lot of revenue, but it is labor intensive. And unless we, given the other increases in demand on the staff that are mandated, we can't not do septic permits or whatever. This is the only discretionary area that we could cut back if we didn't get additional staff support. And I'd also mention, you know, if we move to electronic permitting, again, Ralph mentioned the challenges with the transition. You know, if we were able to bring a part-time staff person who is computer savvy, that would be really helpful, because that's a constraint on some of our abilities currently in the staff. So again, it's just another point of reference or information for supporting our request to add more staff.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Al, go ahead.
Matt, I just had a very, very quick question. The 19 3/4 hours, is that to keep it under 20 for union issues? I mean, why 19 3/4 hours? It's just, I'm curious.
I think that's the threshold. Once you go to 20 hours, it becomes a benefited position.
Okay.
So if you keep it under that, I don't believe there's benefits involved.
Quite all right. No need to go any further. It was just it was just kind of just like the $20.02 an hour. I mean, round it down for God's sakes. I'll throw in the 2 cents. I mean, but anyway, you've answered my question. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Anyone else have any questions on what we just talked about? So I have a question, Matt, on the position. So looking at your budget, there's the highlighted part-time clerk, 25 hours a week. And so it looks like your department request was 27,000, and then the town administrator made it to 0. Is that the same position that we're referring to?
Yes. So I did discuss this with Jim when we did our budget review, and you know, I know that everybody would like more help, but it's not possible to give everybody extra people. But we really are in a spot where we're drowning, and we need the extra help. Even a part-time, we could probably use a full-time clerk, but on a part-time basis, it'll help, and it'll get, you know, maybe get us just above water. Yeah, I did put 27,000 down because I wasn't sure where. Like, I know with the Jim or whoever's going to be negotiating with the Teamsters, and I'm not sure if that pay rate's going to go up or not, the $20.02. So I kind of just threw a discretionary number in there. So,
Okay,
now,
I just wanted to make sure we were talking, that was the same number. And I don't need you to speak for Jim. I know Jim's here, but the reason that the town administrator pulled it out of the budget was for pure budget reasons, or did you not have justifications to support the need?
I don't know. He popped on, so maybe he can answer.
Okay,
It's strictly budget.
strictly budget, okay.
You know, it's not just the Board of Health, it's police, it's fire, it's town accountant, it's the assessor's office, it's the cemetery department, the highway department. Everybody needs help. Everybody, you know, is looking for more money. There's just not enough operating funds to fund additional positions. So it's, yeah, you know, I see what the Board of Health is going through. They've taken on a lot of work. This electronic permitting will actually help reduce work once they get it up and going. So I hope we can move on that fairly quick. But yeah, they're short-staffed like many of the other departments. That's, you know, nothing against help. We just strictly making the bottom number work so that we can have a balanced budget.
Yeah, thank you. I was pretty sure I knew the answer, but I just didn't want to make an assumption. So, question for you too, Matt, Tanya, you mentioned that if your permitting fees are very labor intensive, but if you were to eliminate those fees, there would be 50,000 in lost revenue. But how much would you save in your labor costs if you did that? So what's your net number?
I don't know. I don't know if I can equate it to labor costs, but I can say that the labor itself, the amount of work that the clerks have to do to chase down the companies, the trash companies, to get the monthly reports and get, hound them for the money to come in. I guess you can equate the hours that we wouldn't have to do that anymore to the hourly rate, and then that I could give you a number, but
Mhm.
I don't know that right now.
Yeah, and that's it seems to not make sense to do something that you lose 50,000 in revenue if it only costs you 20,000 to generate that revenue, right? So you're still netting, the overall town is netting positive, and I can appreciate and understand that you might be at the point where you have no choice, but that would be a detrimental budget issue for the whole town. It would help your department because you could reduce your expenses, but it would hurt the town's budget. So I'd be curious to know what that net number would be for that.
Can I jump in?
Well, feel free. Thank you.
There's actually no net savings, dollar savings. This strategy would be pursued to make the workload manageable for the existing staff. So they're overworked now and they're stressed out, and this activity is not mandated by state law. So we can eliminate the activity to align the workload with the existing staff if we get no additional staff. That's what we will have to do. We've already we looked at strategies to align the workload to existing staff, so that it's not like if we stop doing this, we won't have enough work for the 2 existing full-time staff. So there's no reduction in expenses, maybe a modest amount, a very tiny amount for less paper used or something, but really not.
So your net number is really, you would lose revenue by 50,000 and you would save expenses by 0. So your net number would be a $50,000 hit to the town's budget. So that would be a drastic change to me, as opposed to spending $20,000 to get you more staff. And so you spend 20 instead of losing 50.
Right. And the other thing that we have done to try to be proactive to support the town is our Board of Health fees hadn't been raised in 3 years. We've raised those effective January 1st, and we anticipate $20,000 to $25,000 in additional revenue, which will happen whether we get additional staff or not, because that's the same workload. It's just a higher impact on the contractors and the residents who have to pay a higher fee, or the businesses. But it's sort of the cost of doing business in town. So we think we've done what we can to provide the revenue to support that staff position anyways, separate from the, but if we get that staff position, not only do we get the additional fees, revenue from the raised rates on the mandated fees, the mandated permits, but we would also be able to maintain the discretionary permitting of the contractors and porta-johns, and so would not lose that revenue.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Gary, you've got your hand up.
Yeah. So thanks, Matt, for attending tonight here. I don't want to ask this question. This committee is really focused on dollars and cents and the bottom line, but I think it goes well beyond that. When does it become a public safety issue? When is not hiring 2 or 3 police officers, or not being able to certify a restaurant or look at this stuff, and not being able to go out to a home and inspect, or we miss projects that are out there that could capture revenue for the town. So to me, it's more than just dollars and cents. This becomes a public safety issue where we can't show, we're missing things. I mean, let's face it, this is all human, and a lot of people are in the field. You can't be in multiple places at once. That's just impossible. So at what point do we go to the public and say, listen, this is an issue? This is an issue where we're at a critical state that we need bodies, and in order to get that, we need to pay people, and we come back to the same thing. So my question is, there should be almost like a campaign to the public that, this is not about dollars and cents anymore. This is about a critical, not being able to fill key positions in these departments that a public safety risk. I mean, you guys are out there looking at restaurants, you're out there, looking at everything as far as the public health for the town is concerned. Where is that? I guess, what can we do? I guess that's the question. Do we have a campaign that says to the public, do we have meetings where we need to go to the public and say, look, this is what we're seeing in these departments. This is what we think needs to be done. I get we have limited revenues, but at a certain point, this has become a problem, a big problem. And we're going to hear this probably from every single department that comes in front of us. I mean, look at the first two here. I mean, this is going to be, the storybook for the rest of these budgets. But at one point, do we address this and try to at least maybe have a game plan going forward? That's kind of where I'm at.
So like Tanya said, we're doing whatever we can to be creative and try to, by raising fees that needed to be raised anyways, by looking at reducing in other areas. But the bottom line is we can only do so much. And I think we've, as a department, but I think we've done enough to justify adding this to our budget, giving everything we just went over.
Right. And we don't want to have critical issues where there's problems in town where, we want to be able to support the budgets. And if we can find, you're right, if you find different ways to generate revenue, you can almost sell that and be like, okay, we can fund that position. But I think globally for the town, it's a major issue, not being able to fill a lot of these key positions.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gary. Matt, do you want to talk about your other two budgets too, the transfer station and ACO?
Yes, they shouldn't take nearly as long, I would hope.
So
So,
same story, different budget, but go ahead.
so just the transfer station, just a standard 3% increase. The only thing on the personnel side of the transfer station, we asked for an additional 2,500. We're experiencing extended wait times at the facilities that we dispose at. They're taking more and more trucks in and bigger trucks, and now our wait times go from a half hour to sometimes to an hour and a half to 2 hours plus, and it just throws the whole 8 hours becomes not enough time to do what we need to do. So we're running into a bit more overtime than we have in the past where we the need for it. So that's the reason for that that increase in the budget. Going down to transfer station expenses, we're asking for a $3,500 increase. And this is, I think, all stuff that I just want to bring up. I'm toggling a little bit too, Karen, between screens. So these are items that Jim has already approved, but I'm just kind of reviewing them with the committee here. So with the maintenance on the vehicle is just insanely expensive. I mean, we're already 15 grand into repairs on our roll-off truck right now. And the cost to even drive, it's up getting a preventive maintenance, oil change and all that stuff, that's $1,800. I mean, the cost to do these things on these trucks have just gone up so much. So that's why we asked for that increase of $3,500. And the cost to dispose of our recyclables has gone through the roof. So we've asked for an increase of $6,000 there, which again, Jim had already recommended. The things that Jim and I didn't get a chance to talk about because these happened very recently. Well, right now we have a consultant that monitors the landfill that I work with. And we have a lot of shrubbery that's been growing up, and it seems like we've got more and more of it, and it's all around the Cap landfill. So our staff at the transfer station has been going up there and trying to manage it, but it's kind of a precarious. They're in gullies and ravines. It's not safe for our staff to go up there and try to manage cutting these shrubs flush. I mean, our consultant expressed concerns about the overgrown shrubbery. The root systems from them shrubs pose a risk to the landfill cap. He recommends annual inspections, cutting any large shrubs flush to the surface. So for next year and beyond, to accomplish this, we're gonna have to contract out with a landscape company. So I'm asking, in the landfill monitoring line item, I'm asking for a $2,500 increase. And like, again, I hadn't had a chance to talk to Jim because this is all very, like, within the last day or so, my conversations with the consultant. And tire disposal, for the longest time, we were paying $750 to dispose of a container of tires. Well, we were just recently informed that that's gone to $1,750 per container. Not even a little jump. It just went way through the roof. So we weren't, when I talked to Jim initially about the budget, we were good where we were, but now we have to revise that. And so I'm requesting an increase to the $2,650 for that specific line item. And just lastly, we raise fees at the transfer station, mostly on just bulky nut stickers or punch cards to help cover some of these increased disposal costs.
All right, thanks, Matt. I got to see there's two hands up, or now there's one, but Gary, go ahead. There were two a second ago, so I lost one.
Yeah, there we-
Matt,
You guys are tricking me.
how long has the monitoring been on the cap landfill, and how much longer do we have? Are we?
I think we're down to about 6 years left.
Okay.
So it's been going on for, I don't know, maybe 20 plus years at this point. So it's been going on quite a while.
So after the monitoring is done, I mean, do we have a special account where the funds sit for the monitoring of the landfill? There's a special fund that we have set aside?
So we have an account called Receipts Reserved.
Yeah.
And I believe when the budgets are done, that particular line item is funded from that account. But that's something maybe Jim could speak to more if he, at some point in time, he could, he would know that more than I do.
So somewhere down the line, another 5-6 years, we won't have to, I mean, we'll have to do maybe some maintenance out there, but we won't have to be held to the standards that we are now, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be significantly reduced. The monitoring will maybe go to every 3 years or something like that before it goes away altogether.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Okay, and then just on animal
One second,
control.
Matt.
I
One
think
second,
Al's
Matt.
got his hand
Oh,
up.
sorry,
Al's got his hand up. He put his
Yep.
hand back up. See, he's tricking
Yeah,
both of us.
I can't keep my mouth shut. So, Matt, tires. We're talking about increasing the budget. Have you thought about increasing the fee
We
for
have,
getting rid of the time? I'm sure you have, but can you address that a little bit? And how do we fit into the scheme of, let's say, disposing it to XYZ tire company as opposed to bringing a tire in? I mean, are we on par? Are we more expensive, less expensive? And can we, I know it's small. It isn't, nothing is small potatoes as we know. I mean, everything is a budget. So I just want to hear your thoughts, and Tanya, chime in, of course, on that, if you would.
so with the tires, they come, somebody comes in with a car tire, there's a fee for that. I want to say it may be $15, $10, but $15 as of January 1st. They pay that fee, and there's we have a 40-yard open container that we put all the tires that come through the gate. And once that fills up, we deliver it down to a place in New Bedford, F&B Rubberized, we bring it to. There's no other company that I know of in our general area, an immediate area, that takes tires like this. I don't know of any. We've been looking to try to get, somebody else, or how can we deal with this differently? Covanta or CMAS now, who takes our trash, they do, but their facility is an hour and a half away. So now you got to start weighing, is it, what's the cost to load this thing on the truck, go an hour and a half, 2 hours in one direction, is it worth it? Or do we just pay the increased fee and go down to New Bedford? So,
I guess I was certainly not clear, Matt. I was saying that if the, just pick a number. Let's say we're now charging $15 for somebody to drop off a tire. If the cost goes to $22.50, why not just charge it? And balance that budget or the budget line item.
there's a fine line. We got to be careful. We start charging too much for certain things, you're going to find them in the woods on the side of the road. And people, we see it a lot with mattresses. People don't want to pay the disposal fee, so they just chuck them off onto the side of the road. I'm sure all of us have seen that one time or another. So we try to balance it where we don't run in, we don't run into a situation where we're just turning people are saying, "Whoa, my God," and just chuck them, down the side of the road. But go ahead, Tanya. I'm sorry, you were about to speak.
I just maybe Al didn't hear clearly. We just raised the fees effective January 1st
I'm
for
sorry, I didn't
tires
hear
and
that.
other
Yeah.
bulk items to
Okay.
help offset the cost. But again, maybe not as much as you would like, but that balancing act. So we voted at our, not this meeting, but 2 weeks ago to raise the fees effective January 1st.
Well, thank you. I didn't hear it, and B, I don't know what the number is. All right, but
No,
I
don't either,
I
but
was just trying to offset. Okay, I'm
You did.
good. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. One left.
Go animal control, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It's pretty simple. We just, staff was 3% increase. And vehicle repair, that's a aging vehicle, and it seems it needs more frequent repairs. So we asked for an $800 increase for that line item, and Jim had said, okay. The thing with that is we do have a capital request in for a new truck. If we do get, granted that vehicle, if we get approved for that, then we could possibly reduce that back down, back to where it was.
Okay.
And always my favorite question of the year. So you have a animal control officer, and then you got some extra help, right?
We did for a while.
And do you not have that now, or?
We don't, and I interviewed, we had somebody that stayed on and it was looking promising, it was, over a month. And then when we brought her in to sign up, do all the paperwork to become a town employee, she decided that this is not what she wanted to do. So we've been interviewing candidates, 1 or 2 a week. But it's a hard position to fill, being on call part-time. But we did interview somebody today that was very promising, and I believe, I think we're going to move forward with this person and see how this goes.
Okay, and you've still got the dollars in your budget, so hopefully you can find somebody. So that had been the challenge the last couple of years, right? So it looks like you still have the dollars in there, so.
Yep.
Okay, great. Good news. Go ahead, Tanya.
We have the dollars, but they're not a lot of dollars.
Right.
Again, the same refrain you've heard before. It's hard to fill a position that's not particularly well paid.
Right.
But we're trying. We're really trying. And it is very time consuming to go through this, bring somebody on board, they back out. We've had a few people who, sort of interview and then maybe not. It takes a lot of time. And so Matt, has a limited amount of time. But he's been interviewing, so.
Okay.
Great. Any other questions on the ACO or anything else for? I don't see, no one's hands up. All right, well, Matt and Tanya, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. I made a couple of notes on some things, and we'll see where things go as our budget unfolds in the season. It's
Okay.
early.
Thank you.
Very much.
Well, thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All
Take
right,
care.
thanks. All
Bye.
right, take care. All right, so our next budget we have is Shellfish and Marine Services, and William Chase, I think, is here.
I am here, Madam Chair. Can you hear
You're
me?
here. There we go. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you for having me. Good evening to you and the board. And happy holidays. This is my first run at the windmill, if you will. This is my first budget as a department head. Having said that, I want to first of all thank Jim Hartnett and Al Lees for guiding me through this. It's easy to assume that I'm a rank novice at all of this, and their help has been extremely helpful to me and to the department going forward. This is a kind of a different animal, isn't it? This is as a guy who has not been involved in municipal finance, this one strikes me as kind of the oddball. And I say that because the majority of the monies that fund this department come from user fees. And then there's a small portion that comes from taxpayer money. That's the shellfish budget, if you will. And so the two of those combined basically make up all the funding for this department. So I set out, some of you know, I took over right at the beginning of the fiscal year. And so I had Chris's previous budget to work with, which was sound. But I think when you put two individuals as department heads, you're going to get two different philosophies. Mine is a little bit more, I guess, expansive is the word. I see the river and the responsibilities that come with it as daunting. And along with that needs to come the money to back it up, to back up that philosophy. So the first thing that we did in this department, Rick Smith and I were very much involved with seeking out comps. In other words, we wanted to know in the user fee world how much you would pay in the adjoining south coastal towns. And we're talking about Marion, Mattapoisett, Fairhaven, Dartmouth. What do they charge for private mooring fees? What do they charge for waterway user fees? What do they charge for commercial fees? And what we found was that where we are in relation to those other four towns was a fraction of what they're all charging. I would say probably 1/3 if you wanted to look for a fraction. So we set out to increase those user fees. We went to the Harbor Advisory Committee. We discussed it with Jim. And then we took it to the select board. There was obviously public notice, public hearing, and all of this was approved. And I think where that takes us right now, it doesn't bring us up to par with the other towns. And I have the numbers to back that up. But it does make us somewhat, I don't know if respectable is the word. We're in the ballpark anyway at this point. And so from those user fees, my estimation of those increases was a little over $80,000. Now, I understand the reality of it all. We're not going to get $80,000 in this department, and we're not asking for it, obviously. There are other places that money has to go. But I think after submitting my version to Jim and then having Jim shoot back what he thinks it should be, I have no qualms with those numbers. I thought at one point, you know, let me jump in and see if I can argue this one and argue that one and maybe get 10,000 more here or there. I think when you look at the size of the increase in dollars and cents that Jim has put forth here, I think it would be, I don't know what the word is. It's not a place I want to go. I think we're happy with the sizable increase that we do have from those user fee increases. So I have no qualms with what these numbers are right now. So I do need some clarification, and I will get to that. I think it's important to lay out a couple of the projects that we're working on that we're about to integrate into the department. And a lot of it is to get rid of snail mail, to put it simply. The amount of mail that came and went from this little building would make any post office blush. Just the amount of envelopes coming in and the amount going out. That gets expensive at 74 cents an envelope when you consider they've got to go both ways, sometimes 4 ways. So we set out to turn this into an electronic permitting department. To that end, we have entered into an agreement with a company called Linkslog. They are up in Norwell. So they are local, I guess. And they have been very helpful with us. We are going to launch this on the 15th of January. So all of you who have boats for next season, that website is where you will go. There will be one more mailing going out to let everybody know that you've got to go online. To that end, I think that particular move will save us between $4,000 and $6,000 a year. Rick Smith and I started adding up because Rick unfortunately had the burden of dealing with most of the administrative paperwork this summer. I think we lost count at around $8,000 between the hours required and the postage and envelopes and everything else. Linkslog should cost this department about $4,500 a year. So I think from the efficiency point of view and just a simple dollars and cents point of view, this is a smart move for us. So you'll be hearing more about that a lot in the future. Another thing that is on the budget here is a kiosk for the state boat ramp. Currently, the way the system is set up is that if you go over and use the ramp, you walk over to a little lockbox, you pull out an envelope, you stick $5 in it, you take a red tag out, you stick it on your dash so the police know you've paid, and you're all set. But what has to happen here from this department, we've got to go over to the ramp every single day, collect the envelopes, open them all up. That's an experience, I got to tell you that. You never know what you're going to find in some of these things. And then we count it here. I count it. Rick counts it. The girls at Treasury count it. The time involved is just, it's just too much. So we are doing our homework and our due diligence to come up with the best kiosk that we can find and have that installed over at the state boat ramp. So those monies, ideally, we don't get to see $1. It all gets deposited electronically. It all goes to Treasury electronically. Sue Brayton is involved in this as well. So she knows what's coming here. So those two projects, I think, streamline the department and through that efficiency, make it cheaper to operate. The rest of the items here, I mean, I don't know if you want to just go down one line at a time or not, Madam Chair, but and again, I have no qualms with what these numbers are. A couple of points that I should make in general, and I made these with Al as well when we met at Town Hall. We have a fleet of Yamaha outboards, and they're all relatively new. 3 of them are brand new that were approved in a warrant at last May's town meeting. But because they're Yamahas, they have to be serviced by Westport Marine. So you all probably all know Drew. He gets $160 an hour for service. And look, those guys are some of the best in my view. So I have no problem going to them. But when you apply that rate of labor to a municipal budget, you've got to be a little careful. And I'll give you an example. We just brought the relay boat in for its 100-hour check. Oh, this is about maybe a month, 5 weeks ago. We dropped it off at 9 o'clock in the morning. We picked it up the next morning at 9 o'clock. The bill was $1,031. That was for its 100-hour check. Now, this is just like you get your oil change. You've got to have these engines serviced on a regular timetable. They had to clean the bottom because there's no bottom paint on these boats, unfortunately. We will address that later. But just the oil change in the service, that 100-hour regular service, was $831. We have 6 of these that have to go in annually. So that is my biggest concern. If one of these engines was to be damaged beyond repair at some point, the replacement cost is substantial. So I do keep in mind that, you know, the labor cost to repair and maintain everything here is going up. I'll give you one more example. So I just bought a new truck at Alden GMC. Pretty good dealership, in my opinion. Just took it back for its first oil change. They previously got $160 an hour for their technicians. They just upped it to $200 an hour to get your vehicle serviced. So the point I'm trying to make to the committee is that it's not just the cost of the parts, the cost of labor to get to execute all of these mandatory checks is really getting up there. But if I could sum all this up, when you look at an increase of $52,000 over the previous year, I think any department head would be jumping for joy. So with the understanding, of course, that these are user fees and not taxpayer dollars being placed in here. So this is the approach that I've taken for the department: raise the user fees as much as we can, as much as reasonable, to help fund this department and offset some of these increased expenses while providing a little bit more, maybe a lot more coverage to the river itself during the season, and trying to streamline the workings of the department as much as we can.
That was a great sum up. Thank you. Thank you for that update. Does anyone have any questions for William?
I guess
No.
that's done.
No,
No,
well,
I think you did a great
Yeah,
job,
you
Bill.
did great.
I-
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Zach's got a question.
That's all I was gonna say for your first budget presentation. You did a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Zach.
thank you.
Very kind.
Yeah. And, you know, I agree and support the, you know, raising the user fees for the users that use the service. That makes perfect sense. And you have the ability to do that. So that makes sense.
I'm still.
Go ahead, Duncan. You're up. You've got a hot mic there.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as somebody who's been on the river for 25 or 30 years, really impressed with everything you're doing. And I think you're on the right track.
Thank you very much, Duncan. You know, that validation is so important to us. You know, we jumped in here right in 4th of July weekend. Who the hell does that? You know, and it was baptism by fire. And just getting through that, just that initial weekend was huge. But to hear something like that from a guy like Duncan Law, that is most appreciated, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead, Cindy.
Hi, Bill. It's Cindy here. So, you know, we've talked a little bit about with the other departments, some of their future needs, and you've touched upon that a little bit. I did see the other evening, one night last week, you went before the Historical Commission in preparation to perhaps go to the CPC, that your office, if you want to call it that, your shed, is in desperate need of some repair. I mean, some maintenance work. It's not just the river work that you need to deal with. You know, you and your staff also have an office that you have to try to work out of, and I would hardly call that a place that's barely habitable. Certainly not in the winter hours, and barely in the summer. You don't really have much heat in the winter, and certainly not much clean air in the or cool air in the summer. Can you tell us a little bit about what some of those future issues might be going forward, in addition to some of the boat issues you have that you're going to need some hardscape work?
Yes. Well, I think you're absolutely right, Cindy. the building needs help. And we had, just this afternoon, we had Ralph down to do an inspection on the building. Now, it was kind of a cursory look, if you will. But we discovered that basically the floor, and I'm in the shack right now, this is it. The floor is basically plywood laid over the joist, which the whole building sits on 6 concrete pillars that are joined by longitudinals, I guess you'd call them. But it looks like the floor now has some issues. So that's not something we calculated in. But to your point, I started where I thought I should start first, which was with CIPC. And we asked for some money for this project. I've gotten a couple of estimates right around the $45,000, $50,000 range. Not nearly as much as I had asked for with CIPC. So that process is ongoing. All I know at this point is that that request is on their number 1 list. I don't know where we're going with that. I know that the number 1s add up to more money than there is available. And then I figured, well, if that didn't fly, I should probably have something else to fall back on. And just speaking to some of the folks, I mean, being down here at the point, you get a lot of good advice, let's say. And I know that CPC's got money available, so I applied. And that is ongoing. There's a meeting Thursday, a virtual meeting with CPC Thursday, which I will be in on, just to kind of bring them up to speed with where we are. But I tried to lay out as much as I could with the historical commission, because obviously they've got to weigh in on this as well. So I took the 2 routes to try to do my best to try to get some funding here. Now, the question here, and I think where you're alluding to, is what do you see going forward? It may well be that this building as it currently exists is not the building that the department needs 3, 5, 10 years down the road. I can almost guarantee 10 years it just will have outlived its use. So I think at this point, rather than going into a huge $200,000-$300,000 project to get a new building, I'm just trying to identify whether or not the building itself is worth putting that money into. Because, for instance, if we found something in the floor joists, you'd probably say, you know what, it's Band-Aid on a lipstick on a pig, as some people like to say, right? So we don't want to go down that road. So we're looking into it as deeply as we can before we say, yeah, okay, thanks, we'll get the job done. So assuming everything underneath is okay and it's repairable on top, and we've got roof shingles missing, the trim is rotted, the shingles outside are curled up. It's drafty as hell in here. Rick and I do a pretty good job so far. This winter is staying relatively warm in here. I think our electric bill is going to reflect that, but that's the cost of doing business, I'm afraid. So
Okay.
that's a big deal. The other, and not to drag this on, the other big issue we have here is the planking on the West Dock. I've spoken to Wayne Manchester about this. I think most of you know Wayne. Certainly if you have a dock on the river, you probably know Wayne. And I asked him to come down and look at it, because what we've done so far is that there would be a dozen, 2 dozen planks, and they would just kind of get randomly replaced. It's just been a piecemeal approach. I think we may be falling behind on that. So I asked Wade if he could come down and have a look at it, give us a number to work with, and let's see if we can get it done that way. The problem with it is that it is so labor intense. Now these planks are 16, they're 3 by 6 by 16. They're a little cumbersome they're nailed down like Armageddon is coming. So it takes a lot just to get the old ones up. You literally need a chainsaw to cut into them, pull them up, and then replace them. So I don't have a number from Wayne other than the fact that he said there are 618 planks on the western dock in varying conditions.
Hmm.
So when you look ahead to the biggest expenses, those two, the shack and that, all right, I want to touch on one more thing before before I take the next question. And it goes to looking ahead. We have to replace our pump out boat. It's been hauled out. It just about sank about to go. I came down one day and it was laying 45 degrees over. It's just tired, had to come out of the water. We have another boat that we can rehab, which we intend to do right after the first of the year. We're going to start that project. You'll see that here on the budget that I sent along that I got back from Jim. We can afford to do that, but I think that boat eventually would have to be replaced as well. There is some grant money available through the Clean Vessel Act, the CVA as we call it, to the tune of $56,000. But a brand new 23-foot pump out boat delivered ready to go is $122,000. So my thinking was, pending your approval, of course, that this should probably be a warrant article in addition to everything else. But those are the three big issues that I have, Cindy. I think that from a monetary point of view, those are the big focuses.
Just one follow-up question on that last subject. Have you been increasing the fees on your pump out boat to reflect the need for new equipment?
No, we cannot charge fees for that, Cindy.
Oh, you cannot?
We cannot.
Mm.
No. So it's, we do have a contract with CVA to the tune of $15,000. So the monies that we spend on that, the salary for the guys who operate the boat in the summertime is reimbursable up to $15,000.
Mm.
So it's not like it's not a line item in the budget. It's operating expense, and then most of that comes back.
And you cannot charge, the rationale behind that is that people would end up just dumping out in the free water. If they had to pay, they would just choose to just dump themselves rather than wait for the boat.
Why, I don't think there's an excuse for breaking state, federal, and local
Of course
law.
not.
But your point is a valid one.
Right.
Your
Okay.
point is a valid one. I think to address that, let me give you just a little bit of context. Right after we started, there was a gap between when Chris and Gary left and Rick and I took over, and we did not get to the pump out boat for about a week. They were outside the door saying, "Hey, you got to get over here." And, we straightened that out in pretty short order.
Mhm.
But the pump out boat is a very popular vessel, I have to tell you.
Oh, I would think so.
So I get the sense that most people abide by that law.
Yeah.
You're always going to have a few miscreants, there's no doubt about it. But I think most of the people here in Westport abide by that, and we're doing our best to give them the service when we can. So,
But it's a state law that you cannot charge for the service.
yes, that's part of the CVA grant.
Yeah,
We cannot
okay.
charge for this.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. It's very, very informative. Thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, Bill, very, very quickly, what's the current rate per foot charged for commercial boats on the West Dock?
It just went to $40. It was
Oh.
30, and that was part of the package, Al. They were not exempt from all of this. They went from 30 to 40. So percentage-wise, that's a pretty good hike.
It's a pretty good hike, but on the flip side, it's less than a third of what other dockages in Westport.
It is.
And I know that I'm not going to make any friends of my fishermen friends when I say this, but there is no commercial activity on and off boats that generate money into the local economy. I mean, Lee's Wharf is not doing it anymore, except for the oysters. But all the rest of the stuff is being shipped out. The reefers come in 2 o'clock in the morning. They leave, they go to wherever. And and you know, the boats that are docking there that aren't generating any additional money into the economy are paying less than a third of what the going rate is. I'm not blaming you. I just want to make that point that it is a pretty damn good deal.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir, my friend. That is just part and parcel to the whole fee structure in the
Oh,
town.
it's crazy.
You know, it's not, you could make the case that there are other examples that are even more pointed than that one.
Oh, I can, but I won't do it online.
But being one of these guys for so many years, obviously they have a place in my heart. Not that I don't think they should pay their fair share. I just thought a 33% increase was substantial in and of itself.
Yep. Okay. No, I'm not blaming you or pushing you, but I just want to make the clear point that they're paying far less. We're talking about other fees, whether it's tires for an additional $5 a tire or whatever it might be, but yet there's $100 a foot for a commercial boat that is not being paid based on what the fee structure is within the town. And then we're looking at replacing 600 and 700 planks on the west dock. So anyway, I've said what I needed to say, but there'll be more to be said about that. It's just not right. It's just not right.
I could not agree more, Al.
Yeah.
All right, well, it looks like we don't have any more questions, and thank you for your first budget presentation. You did terrific, so you were very helpful and informative, so yeah, hurrah, hurrah.
Nice job. Nice job.
Right.
Oh, can I just throw in one thing?
Sure.
Jim had mentioned this in his narrative about this. So I don't know what would have to happen, but I've essentially got two budgets here, right? Shellfish, Marine Services. I have to do two payrolls because half of my salary comes from Marine Services, half comes from Shellfish. Same thing with Rick. Is there a way we can combine these to make it a little bit more efficient? I mean, I'm not looking for an answer now, but I'm just saying hopefully we can talk about this in the future and see if we can't combine these two in some way that works better than it does right now. This is rather cumbersome. And it's not just the salaries have to be split, it's all the expenses as well.
Right.
So
Yeah, I think that's a great question for the new town administrator and maybe the town accountant, that they could start that process. I think they would have more information than we could have on some of the legalities and things that need to be done, but.
okay. All right,
Great.
very good. I'll
Great,
just
thank
close
you.
I'll just close by saying thank you to all of you, especially to Jim and to Al for guiding me through this. I most appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
nice
All right,
job.
Thank you. Nice job. Thank you. All right, so our next budgets are the town hall annex, and the cemetery. And Jim Hartnett is here to present those.
Good
I
evening.
believe. I know he stepped. Oh, he's back. Okay. Hey, Jim,
Good
your
evening.
last time presenting these budgets.
So we have a selectmen's budget, town hall annex
Yep.
and cemetery, right?
Yes, yes.
Selectmen budget is pretty straightforward. Salaries, just the negotiated increases as well as the contractual salary account. The other line items, overtime, education reimbursement, longevity, those are pretty much contractual as well. And I will say that, we try to plan ahead when we know that somebody's leaving or has the potential to leave. And, we did that in this case. We had put $50,000 additional into the salary in FY26 for this fiscal year because we knew that the Board of Selectmen secretary was retiring, and as well as myself, and we wanted to make sure that we had sufficient funds to kind of reorganize the department a little bit, as well as pay for another new town administrator. And it's you know, every position I've been in, you know, every major position that I've hired throughout the years, it's not a good thing, but normally when the person leaves, in order to get somebody else in, the salary goes up a bit. It's not fair. It's just the way it works. So anyway, that's the salary overall. The salary from FY 26 to 27 is going down by about $15,000 because we were able to finalize those numbers for the next year. The expense accounts are also going down a bit. You know, nothing major. We went from 351 down, I'm sorry, 451 down to 435. That's the overall budget. I'm sorry. The expenses are about the same, 52 and then 51, 300. So there's really no changes there. That's pretty much it for the select board. I mean, my budget's not very exciting, you know.
No,
I
I
follow
don't see, and I don't see 5 hands raised either, so I think you're. All right, you can do the annex, go ahead.
Town hall and the annex, again, salary is just contractual. The only thing I would note in this budget is the electricity. We bumped up from 29 to, I have in my recommendation, $50,000. And that's mainly because we've gone to the heat pumps here in town hall, so they'll be online for next year. And it's going to take about 4 to 6 months to get our net metering credits adjusted. So we're hoping the net metering credits that we have will offset those costs, so we won't need all that funding for next year, but we just don't know exactly what we're going to need. Years ago, just give you a quick history, years ago, the town got in a contract to buy solar credits. We overbought at the time, so we're buying more solar than we've been able to use. As we use and generate more or need more electricity with the new high school, that's generated quite a bit of electricity over what we had a few years ago. Town hall with the heat pumps is going to generate more electricity. We're able to use some of those credits that have been on standby for years. So we're taking advantage of those credits that were not being used in the past. And I would have Nicole explain that in detail because she's the one that's been dealing with that. It's not an easy thing to manage. We readjust those credits every year based on the electrical bills, and it's a tedious process. So that's pretty much the town hall annex. And the town hall cemetery department is probably even easier. It's just salary increases. We actually had pretty much a full complement of staff for most of the year, which is the first time we've had that in the last, since I've been here. And they've done a great job. We've had very few complaints this year with cemeteries. We've been able to get the grass cut, the monuments up, no issues with the burials. So they've done a nice job. The expense accounts, pretty much similar to last year. We're going up about $5,000. And that's mainly for the software. So they had a private software. This was done through CPC years ago that had the cemetery information online. That software was no longer being supported by the platform that it was on. And it was just the amount of information that was on that system being kind of in a nonprofit private hands. We really felt the need to bring it in-house. So we went out for our proposals and we had some sites come in and we were able to migrate all that data onto this new software. It's been up and running in the cemetery department and it's been working out great. We're still working on the web-based application to get it similar to what was available to the public with the previous software. We have another meeting this week and hopefully by next month we will have that up and running. But the important stuff is all the data that was there was able to migrate to the new software. It's just a matter of tweaking the web page so that we can access the information that was accessed previously. And that's pretty much all I have.
Thanks, Jim. Go ahead. Cindy's got her hand up.
Jim, where do we stand with the expansion, the cemetery expansion?
So last year, I think we had roughly 550,000, I believe, through a town meeting warrant article from free cash and funds from the perpetual care account to do the expansion. The issue is we had requested the money before we had the final estimate. When the final estimate for work came in, it was up over 900,000. So we're on the CIPC for additional funding this year. We need to expand. we don't have, I don't think we have a choice. I think there is some debate as to how much we should expand. Should we do the, two major plots, or should we do one? There's some economy of scale to do two at the same time. It's one mobilization, it's one contractor. Everything's done at once, but it's a cost. I think last year when we looked at this, we had roughly 250 plots that were available. We sell about 75 on average a year. So we had, another year or two, those are going to be gone. It takes 2 years to prepare a new section. You have to dig out that section, you have to remove all the stones, you have to sift through all the gravel, then you have to put it back, let it settle for a year or two before you can start using it for burials.
Do you know how competitive we are? I know a few years back, we increased the fee, the plot fee. Are we still competitive? Are we still behind in the fees that we charge for that?
I think 2 years ago, we're pretty close to other communities. Having not raised them in 2 years, my guess is we're behind just a little bit, but I don't think we're way out of line. I'd have to check.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Nancy's got her hand up. Go ahead, Nancy.
Thank you. Jim, so you talked about the cemetery and that you had to migrate the information to another, program. We've heard from the harbor master about, the price of, sending out, letters for fees and postage and trying to get that up and running through a program automated. We've heard about the Board of Health and how if they get things up on a program and they're able to use computers to send out invoices and whatnot, it would save them the man hours that they're utilizing. So why are all these different departments all putting in their budget for software? Is there something that when we have free cash, a one-time purchase of a town-wide program that allows for all of these departments to digitize and have the public be able to access them that way? Is that something that's that?
So we've done a couple of things, right? Most of the digitizing, most of the initial startups for all these software has been either through grants or CPC funding, if it's historical. So the actual startup and the actual purchase of these, the migration and the software themselves has been either through grants, there's a couple of exceptions, but either through grants or CPC funding. It's the yearly licensing that is what you're seeing in most of these budgets. Like in this one, the $4,000, it's a yearly license just to maintain the software. We did, and I can get you a copy of it. I sent it around with one of my reports last month on all the software upgrades that have been done over the last couple of years that are currently in process. It's been quite substantial, and the departments have really put the effort in. Every time you bring in new software, there's migrating the data over, resetting your forms, adjusting your fees to fit the formats of the software is a lengthy and tedious process. Once you get it up, it's great. I think you save time and I think you save money in the long run, but it's when everybody's busy and you ask them to take on a whole new task, it's a challenge. And I think that's what the Board of Health is doing now, right? So they've had the software there probably for 6 or 7 months, but migrating their data over, readjusting all their forms so it's compatible with the online software, and just restructuring their department a bit so that they use the online stuff. It takes time.
So is the software different in every single department?
So we have Permit Eyes, which will be for planning, building, conservation, Board of Health, Select Board Office can also do licensing, Zoning Board can use that as well. So the Permit Eyes kind of takes care of all the development departments. The accounting and the treasurer have just upgraded their software. The treasurers have been using Zobrio. The accountant just upgraded to use that. I think there's a different name now, but it's the same software. We've had issues in the past with compatibility between the accountant and the treasurer's softwares. They're different. So we never had a good bridge to transfer the data from one to the other so that you can reconcile easily. They would download it to spreadsheets and compare the spreadsheets, and it was just, it was not efficient. So they've upgraded their software. They're in the process of doing that now. The accountant has transferred her software over in July. And the treasurer, they're waiting on the software company to finish their work, and that should go online in February. So yes,
So the treasurer and the accountant's office, up until now that it's happening, have not been able to share information. They have to download it and then manual it. So this is the type of software stuff that I'm talking about, is just, and it's difficult, right? Because we have, everybody's at different stages and nobody's somebody's ahead of somebody else technology wise, and somebody else is behind. And then it's the staff and their ability to use the technologies, because it's all great to have, but if nobody knows how to use it, that doesn't work. I know that some departments are resistant to the technology. Some departments embrace the technology. It just seems to me that we're in 2025 and now we're just got a software program up for accounting to share with the treasurer's office. So I just don't know moving forward. I know you're on your way out, whether this is something that the town should be looking into to consolidate that technology so that everybody gets on the same page at the same time. And maybe sometimes my experience is that some of those licenses become cheaper when you have more departments using that particular software. So it's just a thought. Thank you.
You're absolutely right, and I think we're heading in that direction now. When I say they weren't compatible, it wasn't an easy bridge, right? They've certainly reconciled throughout the years with, every month, but it can be done easier when the software is compatible.
Will the schools be now reconciled once that's occurring? Is the schools still operating under a different system?
So my understanding is the schools are operating on this new system as well.
Okay, so
I want to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to, because I knew that there was a difference between the schools who the billing goes through the town, and they were using different programs as well. So hopefully everybody is on the same loop. All right, thank you. And I know you'll miss me, Jim, but good luck in your retirement.
And Jim, just to follow up with Nancy's point too, that we'll have Keith, of course, come in to do his IT budget, but Keith Novo is not a full-time employee of the town. So the town has limited resources, IT resources, to have somebody that champions that. And I agree. I think I saw the select board meeting where you presented all the initiatives that IT has done, and that's a phenomenal amount of things to do with someone who's limited in time. But we definitely should get our hands on that. And certainly when Keith comes in to talk about the IT budget, he should definitely talk about all the things he has been able to do. Many more things to do, but he's done a tremendous amount with his limited resources. Go ahead, Al.
Two quickies. Nancy, you kind of stole my thunder a little bit about integrating school budget and town budget, because, there's a lot of synchronicity going on between the two. And we are, the school budget is 50+% of the school, of the town budget. And there's a lot of integration between the two, especially when it comes to benefits and et cetera, et cetera. So, I just want to echo your thoughts, but I have a bigger issue, and that is to thank Jim. I mean, I really, in my heart, thank you for everything you've done for all these years. I'm actually getting choked up a little bit, Jim. You've done yeoman's work. You're well loved, and we just want to thank you, or I want to thank you. The rest of you can weigh in.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, yeah. Jim, I think when you were on the planner at the planning board, and you had interviewed for the town administrator, I know the planning board was so sad and upset that you could never be replaced for that department. And, then you came along to the town administrator role, and excelled and exceeded in that too. So, yeah, you've been with the town for a long time, and we're definitely going to miss all your knowledge. You have so much knowledge in your head from all of what you've done. So
Yeah.
I echo Al for sure. We'll miss you.
I appreciate it. And the planner position was filled by somebody very capable, so.
Yeah, and absolutely. And
So, and I've had a couple of meetings with Chris, and he seems very good. He's very excited about working here, so I think he's gonna do well.
Good.
So Jim, just as a quickie, after 6 months of not doing anything, I'm going to knock on your door about the Historical Society, but that's another conversation for another day.
No, we will actually
Something I may
knock
be
on his,
interested in, yeah.
we will actually knock on his door to come and sit on the finance committee. They,
Oh, even better.
There you
Cindy.
go.
Oh,
No, he knows
Look
too
how
many. He
excited
knows
he is.
too many skeletons.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Nope. And likewise, I appreciate, you guys are all volunteers, and it's incredible the amount of work that the volunteers in this town do. It's, this town doesn't run without the volunteers, so thank you, and I appreciate working with you. You guys have been great.
Well,
thanks, Jim.
enjoy the rest of your retirement, but or whatever the next step brings.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, absolutely. So Jim, we're not totally letting you off the hook quite yet.
Ah.
But you're almost done, but I think you had presented a very quick update to the select board at the last meeting, and we have a copy of it. So I don't think you need to go over that with us, but just in terms of timing, you're set to present the first draft of the budget at the next select board meeting. Is that correct? On the
Yes, so the 15th.
the
Yep.
15th.
Okay.
And that'll be the first roll up with all the departments being as you have them to be. The revenue, of course, is still up for grabs in terms of the state revenue. We have no idea what's happening there. I'm sure insurance and the diamond assessments have no idea yet. So there's going to be some big placeholders, but it'll give us the first sense of where you're going. And
Yeah, and I
you'll be able to turn that over to the new town administrator.
Yeah, and I think by the end of January, once we get the governor's numbers, that kind of locks in the bigger numbers for us. So you should have a good idea by the end of January.
Yep.
Where
Okay.
things stand. So yeah, I think that's
Okay.
good. Guys,
Yeah,
are we-
and when's your last day officially or unofficially?
Either Christmas Eve or the day after Christmas. We'll see. how
I'd say
close I
Christmas
get.
Eve.
Yeah, we're just trying to wrap up a few things, and I did meet with Chris yesterday, and we went through the whole budget. So yeah, he's getting on it, and I think he'll do well.
Great.
Great.
Westport was fortunate to get him. There's not a lot of applicants out there, and he's a little younger than me, and he's ambitious. So hopefully we can move things along.
Yeah, great.
All right, folks.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
Guys have a good
Thanks,
night.
Jim.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. for
Thank you.
everything.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, so we just sailed right past our fiscal budget discussion update, so that's all good. Item 3 on the agenda was if anybody has any committee or liaison updates they wanted to talk about. Nope.
No,
Okay.
I'm going to be meeting with the fire chief in the next week or 10 days just to wrap it up. But they know better than I, what their needs are, and so that's my update.
Okay, great. I just want to go backwards for 1 second on the budget. So I took some quick notes. Of course, we'll have minutes, but our minutes don't reflect the entire conversation of what we talk about here. So they would, but I'm going to do some bullet points of kind of items that we all kind of got hung up on a little bit. And so that can help us as we get into January and February, because we tend to lose sight after we do this 15, 20 times with budgets of where things stood. And sometimes the earlier budgets we tend to have forgotten, and it's the more recent stuff that sticks in our brain. So, I'll put some quick notes together and then share that. And then if anybody wants to add to it, so let's kind of have a collective list. You know, and if anybody has any other issues that come up, I think it's helpful to raise them now as we do the budgets. So, we do everything we can to be collaborative with the select board, as they're putting together their budget. We're kind of all working together for feedback. So the goal is to have one budget if we can, that the select board support and the finance committee support. That doesn't always happen, but, you know, as an example, if we felt a position should be funded and Jim didn't fund it, those are discussion items that we'll talk about with the select board to say, here's what we're thinking, and to, you know, try to gauge what their thoughts are. So, it's not a us versus them budget. We're trying to do everything together. So anybody that has issues with anything that comes up in the budget, let's get our list together. So we've got some talking items for. So I started it. So we'll see how we do as we get into weekly budgets that become hard for some of us that also have full-time jobs that can't always do this. All right, so no other liaison updates I see, which is fine. The next item is to approve the minutes of November 18th, 2025. Does anybody have a chance? Has everybody had a chance to review them so we can make a motion to approve?
Yes, and motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
I'll second, yep.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on those minutes? Nope.
No.
Not at 8:18 at night, right? Nope. Clear sailing now. All right, so I'll do a roll call to approve the minutes. Ellie's,
Ali's aye.
Zach LeBrew,
Zach LeBrew, aye.
Nancy,
Nancy Stanton Cross Eye.
Duncan,
Duncan Law, aye.
Cindy,
Cindy Brown, aye.
Gary,
Abstain.
and myself, Karen Rouse, aye. I didn't forget anybody, right? No. Okay, great. All right, so budget meetings upcoming. Just it sounds like Gary, you've got the highway department coming requested for, what was the date that you sent me an email on?
What was it, 27th?
On the 27th, and then that's great. Thank you. And is Chris coming in, or are you going to do it on behalf of Chris?
I might do it on behalf of Chris. He might attend with me.
Yeah, it'd be great if he could join us. We haven't seen him in a while, but and Nancy, did you get in touch with the beach committee at all? Any
No
luck?
success yet, but I'm still
Okay.
trying.
All right. Thank you. All right. So
Karen, I will not be at the meeting on the first week in January.
okay.
I'll send you an email, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to, while I'm thinking about it, we're going to be out of town.
Okay. That is helpful when we get close to the week of the meeting to send me the email, because I'll forget
Got it.
between now and a month from now, but thank you.
Yep. Oh, okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And so just, so I'll continue on future agendas to put the whole schedule, just in case any member of the general public wants to come to our meeting. Anybody's welcome to, if they have questions about a particular department, so they know what our schedule is. So that's all posted on the agenda that was published for tonight's meeting, and we'll continue to do that. So we'll add to that, the highway is the week of is January 27th. Okay, and the next meetings are January 6th, January 13th, January 20th, and 27th. Those are all budget meetings. And then on February 10th is also a budget meeting, and that's for the Westport Community Schools. And so the month of January is pretty much all budgets unless anything else comes up for an agenda item. So if anything else comes up, you can email me and we can add it to the agenda. But I have no other topics within 48 hours, no correspondence.
Karen, one thing, are we going to have Diamond in? Are we going to have Diamond in to speak on? I mean, I think this would be a good opportunity because they got a brand new school they're building. They got, I mean, I don't know. Did we hear from them last year? I can't remember the last time we had them in.
I had been in contact with them last year, and then the scheduling didn't seem to line up. But I do have the contact information for our representative, so we could arrange to have them come in.
I mean, we have no control over that budget, but I think it'd be good to hear from, you know, they're in the building phase, where are they with this, and
Yeah,
you know, how
Right,
it affects the students in Westport.
right.
yeah, I think that, you know, we tried to last year, right? It just didn't line up. But the good part is if we get through our budgets, as I anticipate we will in January and then early February, that opens us up to have availability. We certainly don't know what warrant articles are going to be that will then take our collective time there. But we certainly should be able to squeeze in Diamond.
Thanks.
Great, thank you for that.
Good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Anything else, anyone?
Motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second.
okay, I will roll call. So Gary,
Yes.
Duncan,
Yes.
Al,
Ally's eye.
Nancy,
Nancy Stanton Cross Eye.
Zach,
Zach LeBrew, aye.
Cindy,
Cindy Brown, aye.
and Karen Earl's aye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
for-
you.
Merry Christmas, everyone.